objective research is first to represent the Orientalist perspective on Hadith, second to study Orientalist view on Isnad al-Hadith, and third to know Islamic scholars' answer to Orientalist views on Hadith.
First, we will talk about the definition of Orientalist. Orientalist come from the word Orient, which means east, and Orientalist usually refer to Westerners who study Eastern science such as language, literature, civilization, and religion. Then, in the Islamic world, when it's called Orientalism, it refers to Western who study civilization and the ins and outs of Islam, including the Quran and Hadith, history, language, and others.
Orientalism and Islam. The Orientalist motive associated with Islam, which is said to be negative only, is the trigger for Orientalism in England and other countries, as well as an extension of the confrontation between Christian and Jews, which is Yahudi. Christian thinks that earth can only be occupied by them, and therefore Muslims need to be eliminated immediately. There are attacks carried out by Crusaders on Islamic countries due to two main factors, which are religious factors and blind fanaticism, as well as political factors. Islam has a connection with the Orientalist background from the early stages of Islam that faced Judeo-Christian religionists. The opposition of Jews, which is Yahudi and Christians, is seen because of their grudge and conflict when there is a negative image of them towards Islam. When then the Orientals lost, they start to make mental attacks and thought from weapon attacks. Starting here, Orientalists began to study Islam from all aspects, including Aqidah, interpretation, Hadith, literature, and so on, related to religion as a preparation for mental attacks and the mind of Muslims.
Orientalist and Hadith. So the Orientalist attempts to raise suspicion about the position of Hadith as the primary source in Islam among Muslims. There are many ways that the Orientalists try to doubt Muslims so that they study, deepen and become proficient in the field of Hadith and Arabic language. So the first attempt that Orientalists do is they write a book about history of Hadith, and then they create articles and research paper of the fundamental issue and the evolution of Hadith. Then they translated the Hadith into Latin language, and the last one is they edit or tahqiq and publish Arabic books related to Hadith.
Orientalist and Isnad al-Hadith. Orientalists not only dispute the validity of al-Hadith from Hadith Sahih, they even dispute the Isnad system found in al-Hadith. And Orientalists named Leon Catani thinks that the system Isnad does not come from the Arab because this system is not the same together with the nature of the Arab. Which in the eyes of Orientalists it's primitive, ignorant and intolerant of each other. However, he failed to explain where this Isnad system come from. Third, Sprenger also agrees with Leon Catani by saying the writings of Urwah ibn al-Zubayr to Abdul al-Malik ibn Marwan also does not have Isnad in its early stage. Horowitz argues the Isnad system was used by the Jew earlier than the Arab, but his opinion was studied by Ibn Haz and found the use of Isnad in Jewish writings are doubtful. According to J. Robson, it was used gradually during the first Hijrah in the middle of the century. According to him, Ibn Ishaq, who lived in the middle of the second century Hijrah, spread some information with Isnad and some without. Sudan's previous generation was undoubtedly less careful in documenting their information. Therefore, the Isnad system is a false system devised by later al-Hadith scholars, and it seems to be one false system in determining the validity and existence of al-Hadith.
Okay, next I will continue to the point of Orientalist perspective.
Golze made a lot of assumption and speculation about the Hadith. He saying that a large part of the Hadith was born and created from the time of the development of Islam after the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and not authentic from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Golze 1971 said that Hadith was a political battlefield and conflict between dynasties at the beginning of the first century of Islamic history. Then, Golze and some other Orientalists deny the isnad system used by Hadith memorizers. In addition, the presence of Joseph Skak through his work The Origin of Muhammadan Jurisprudence also has a strong impact on a number of research and studies of Hadith among Orientalists. Therefore, it can be said that some of them agree with Hergronje, Golze and Skak, but some of them are opposed in viewing Hadith.
Some Islamic scholars have rejected Orientalist opinion on the authorship of Al-Hadith and its isnad, as well as their attitude to Al-Hadith. They were able to refute all of the concerns that Orientalists sought to raise about Al-Hadith, particularly concerning the writing of Al-Hadith in the early days of Islam, via the study and scientific study. Ulama responded to the discrepancies observed between one hadith and another hadith by saying that the inconsistency is due to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam imparting his teachings according to the scenario and listeners. In other words, the changing environment and period. This means that any contradicting al-hadith must be analysed from multiple perspectives. In reality, al-hadith scholars have developed a specific science to assess and then approve hadiths that appear to contradict one another. This sign is known as Muhtalaf al-Hadith. The isnad system that is criticized by Orientalists has also been answered by some prominent Islamic scholars such as Muhammad Mustafa al-Azami, who is considered an expert in the field of al-Hadith.
Some Islamic scholars have rejected Orientalist opinion on the drafting of Al-Hadith and its isnad, as well as on Al-Hadith itself. Among them are Sheikh Mustafa al-Sibai through his book Sunnah wa Makanatuhu, and Mustafa al-Azami through his book Dirasat fi al-Hadith al-Nabawiyah. They were able to disapprove every claim made by Orientalists regarding Al-Hadith, particularly the claim that Al-Hadith was not written during the early years of Islam via their studies and scientific investigation. They have provided proof that most of the hadiths had already been recorded while Rasulullah SAW was still alive. In addition to the hadiths that the Prophet himself and his companions recorded directly, there are also hadiths that the Prophet himself recorded indirectly through letters of the agreement, letters of preaching, and letters about taxes, such as the letters he sent to the king of Abyssinia and the letters he sent to non-Muslim king urging them to convert to Islam. Regarding Orientalist assertions, the reason for the rise in Al-Hadith collection throughout time, particularly in the 3rd century Hijrah, is that the Islamic power and empire grew, leading the narrators of Al-Hadith to settle in all the Islamic colonies. Al-Hadith were gathered from narrators who were dispersed across Islamic colonies by Al-Hadith collectors after they journeyed to every part of Islamic colonies. As a result, each generation's Al-Hadith collection grew.